Good afternoon. On behalf of Jay Shah, Vice President and Head Cultural Outreach Mahindra Group, Teamwork Arts, Art Gyan, and the Meta Secretariat, a warm welcome to Mahindra Excellence in Theatre Awards and Festival. The pandemic in 2020 taught us many lessons. The most important among them was about thinking out of the box and reinventing what we knew as normal. So, in 2020, we hosted a magnificent virtual meta, including Indian theatre's first ever virtual award show. In 2021, we continued our virtual curation and brought you a month and a half of the very best of meta from the past 15 years as our special celebration of the stage. The Mahindra Group has always been committed deeply to the arts. The arts need to be nourished and nurtured, as in art lies truth, conviction, talent, and wisdom. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, when we say curtains up to our masterclasses, curated on themes around the stage, backstage, and beyond. Learnings at Meta is an extension of Meta's endeavor to nurture Indian theatre and build a community of practitioners dedicated to the craft. It is also aimed at enhancing public engagement with theatre and developing an appreciation for the multitude of skills and techniques involved in putting together quality theatre productions. This year, we bring to you a series of masterclasses with our online arts educational platform, Art Gyan, in partnership with Bikaji, our snacking partner. Art Gyan is a web-based arts education platform striving to make the arts accessible and affordable to students across India and the world, while simultaneously providing professional artists with a structured platform to teach a wide network of learners. A very warm welcome to this masterclass at Learnings at Meta, the art of directing, with none other than Lillete Dubey. Breaking down the craft of direction in theatre, the workshop will guide the participants on how to bring together various elements of theatre production in order to create a successful play. The session will focus on working with performers, composers, stage designers, costume designers, choreographers, and other members of the professional crew, learning and exploring the numerous visual, dramatic, and technical cues, and finally demonstrate how the storyline shines through for the audience to enjoy the show. Your mentor for the masterclass is, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the brilliant Lillete Dubey. Lillete Dubey is a renowned film, television, and theatre actor and director. She has been the artistic director of the Primetime Theatre Company for 30 years, and her theatrical work, both as an actor and as a director, has received much acclaim nationally and internationally. She has been on the expert committee of the Ministry of Culture, on the jury of several theatre and film festivals, and is a trustee of Nityagram. Do follow our social media handles to be notified of the upcoming masterclasses, conversations, play screenings, and full schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the art of directing with Lillete Dubey. Over to you, Lillete.
Hello, everyone. This is Lillete Dubey, and today I'm going to be giving a master class. Sounds very, very important on the art of directing. First off, I want to say that, saying one is giving a master class to me sounds a little bit presumptuous because I don't think in any field you really, really master anything till you are dead and gone. People often ask me that, what is the best role you've ever done? What's the best play you've ever directed? What is the most creatively exciting thing that you've created? And I always say that, the day I have done that, when I have done my best, I should really retire and I should, hang up my sandals and go home. Because the whole thing about being a creative person is that you are constantly aspiring, constantly wanting to better what you did before. So every time you do something new as a creative person, a new painting, a new piece of music, a new play that you're directing, a new role that you're enacting, anything in the creative business, a new piece of dance that you're choreographing, it's like you get yet another opportunity to do something perfectly. So it's like a blank slate. You get a blank slate and you're given an opportunity to improve what you did the last time. And I think this is a very important part of being a creative person. You have to want to feel dissatisfied with what you did. I mean, not dissatisfied, feel somewhat not satisfied with what you did last and want to improve that and aspire to more excellence and perfecting your craft. So I'm going into this because we're calling it a master class. I can only say that I have one, what should I say, one qualification for that, are all my gray hairs, which, which are nicely covered right now. But that I have been in this business of acting and theater for more than 45 years. You know, I know it makes me sound like a fossil, but that is the truth. So I think sheer experience and lessons learned and things that you have, absorbed for yourself as part of your process, that is the part that really I can share. So for me, the masterclass is more about the fact that I'm not a master potter or a master director or anything like that, but I have had a lot of experiences, and I'm very happy to share those experiences with you to maybe help you in your process of finding a way to direct. Having said that, I must say that there is no a way to direct anything, as there is no a way to find God, as there is no a way to paint a painting. You know, the styles are as varied as we are human. So, as we are as humans. So we can't say that this is the way. I have, anyway, never believed that. I have never been one who ascribes to a certain method of doing anything, whether it be cooking, whether it be acting, whether it be, yes, riyaz is something, this discipline and learning your craft and the tools of your craft. This is 100% there. One is not denying that. If you want to be a good cook, you have to learn the basics of how to cook, the techniques. But there is no a way to make an omelette. So there is no a way to direct a play. Firstly, the material itself drives the way you direct it, the way you visualize it. So, and we are so different as human beings. We bring our own imagination, our own experiences. We bring everything that is uniquely, individually our own when we do anything, write a book, paint a picture, and direct a play. So, what I am attempting to do here is to share my experiences and tell you my process. And this may not be everybody's process. Some parts of it may be, some parts of it may not be. But what is interesting always is to listen to what other people have to say in the business, so that maybe some things can illuminate you and help you along also to find ways of doing what you want to do. But I am a great believer that you must find your own path, that you must have your own voice, that you must have your own way of doing things. That is the beauty of being an individual and a creative person. So I had been an actor for a very long time, ever since I joined college, Lady Shri Ram College in Delhi. And through my two masters, I kept acting, and I was essentially an actor. I mean, I was studying. That's another story, you know, because at that point, I really didn't think theater or acting could ever be a full-time career for me. At that point in my life, and that period in our country, even now, I would say it's a very, very, very difficult profession to take up as a full-time career. And be warned of that, because I'm going to come back to that. We are all crazy people. We're driven by some mad janoon, people who do theater. They have scant regard for all the practicalities of life. But at that point, it didn't seem a very sensible and practical career choice. But I loved acting and I loved the theater. And Barry John, my mentor and guru, he sort of infused this passion in me, which hasn't died. You know, I used to tell my husband, 40 years, and I don't know about our passion, but certainly it can't match my passion for theater. It just simply is as strong and burning as it was when I hit that stage in Kamani Auditorium for the first time in Delhi. So I was essentially an actor, and since I was getting all the lead roles in all these delicious plays, wonderful plays that Tag and Barry were doing, I had no desire to really look into this other field, which was direction. So how did I get into direction? I realized after doing about 15 years of theater with Barry and Tag, and of course some other directors as well. I did work with other directors, that something was missing for me personally. And what that something was the fact that all this material was fantastic material. I mean, fantastic. We were doing some of the best plays in the world, from Brecht to Shakespeare to, Arthur Miller to Tennessee Williams. I mean, we were doing some of the greatest playwrights, Shakespeare, Marlowe. I don't know. We just did just about everything. I always say I went to the Barry Jones School of Drama before he had a school for drama and acting, because the way he grilled us and the amount of work I did with him in those 15 years was remarkable, absolutely remarkable. I don't know, maybe even a drama school couldn't have taught me the kind of things that I learned with him. And as a director, when I talk as a director, I have to always talk about him as I talk about him as an actor too, when I talk as an actor, because he really he set the ground plan for me as a creative person, and I will come to that when I talk about direction. So I realized that what I was missing individually was material that somehow resonated more with me, uh, because maybe it was rooted more in our ethos, in our culture, in our peculiar and very unique kind of world that we inhabited as Indians. So I set up a company of my own called the Prime Time Theatre Company with my friend Sita Raina in Delhi. And the aim of that company was basically twofold. One was to explore Indian writing in English, but original Indian writing in English, and to take some of that work across the globe. In March of this year, we finished 30 years, and I have directed 34 productions for the company. And all I can say with modesty is that not only has it been a wonderfully fulfilling journey, we have managed to take our plays across 5 continents. We have done mostly, I would say, 80 to 90% of our work is original indigenous writing, whether it's absolutely brand new or it's classics of Tendulkar or Mohan Rakesh. And we've done them in English. And I was often asked, why did I do these plays in English? Why didn't I do work in Hindi? I said for 2 reasons. One is there are lots of people who have done some of these classics and who will do some of the new plays also that are being written in Hindi and several other vernacular languages. But there aren't many versions of these plays in English. And since I also want to travel with these plays abroad, and it's been to show people the kind of work, writing first only I'm talking about, the kind of authors we have, the kind of brilliant scripts that have been written in India, uh, they have to be in English, because we simply didn't have the money to have running subtitles in English and all that, or French, or whichever country we were going to. So the only way out of that was to simply do it in English and try to reach a very large audience. And it has been so gratifying to find that people have been gobsmacked at the kind of writing that has come out of India, whether it's a Tendulkar play, whether it's a Mohan Rakesh play, whether it's a play by Mahesh Dattani, whether it's a play by Pratap Sharma, by Girish Karnad. I mean, they were so unfamiliar. They are so unfamiliar. I'm talking about this because if there are young directors listening to this, please go ahead and explore original Indian work. Firstly, that's what people abroad want to see. They have seen the definitive versions of Shakespeare in their own countries. Now, I little realized at that point that this was a highly difficult and thorny path in the sense of I had been, an actor, and I didn't have to worry about anything else. Didn't have to be. I also made the fatal mistake of also being my own producer, because I wanted the complete creative freedom to do exactly what I wanted. I didn't want anyone coming and telling me, I gave you X amount of money, so this is the sort of play I want. I want these sort of actors in it, and I want it to be popular and be successful and make lots of money for me as a producer. So I wanted to free myself completely from those sort of constraints, and I decided I am going to be my own producer. I am going to produce my own plays. That's another thing I would like to share with you, that please try as much as possible to find a way to produce your own plays, because creative control then is totally in your hands. And I know it's difficult. It's very difficult raising money for plays. But I also will share a little bit about how I found a way to make some money for my theatre company so that we could survive as long as we have. And so I got into direction. And when I got into direction, it was a twofold joy, because on one hand, I was since I was also producer, I always had this big sort of weight on my shoulder that I would have to raise the money, and I would have to find a way to put the play up, run the play for a long time, etc., and find a whole game plan of how I would travel with it and recover costs and make money, etc. On the other hand, I suddenly discovered what a joy it was to actually have the vision for the whole play. I mean, uh, it was like suddenly I could visualize the whole play as a whole. I wasn't just a small segment of it as an actor. It was really my baby. So I got into direction, and I started enjoying it very, very much, because I realized that every aspect was in my control, and the way I saw it was the way it was going to pan out, because it was all in my head. I have this funny thing. People say, how do you choose a play? How do you choose a play? And I say, well, the way I choose a script is very, very strange. It's like Alice in Wonderland, like the bottles that said, eat me, drink me. So when I read a script that I really like, it actually says to me, you know, um, do me. It's almost speaking to me that it needs to be done by me. And of course, you relate to it, you resonate with it, and it's a very peculiar thing, I think, as a director. You also go through so many things in your life, so many experiences, and I found later on that very often I chose scripts that at that point in my life actually uh, was sort of in some strange way, uh, not exactly a parallel, but reflecting some elements of what was happening in my life. For instance, sad, but it's a truth that my dad was very ill. He had cancer. And Mahesh and I started talking about doing a new play. And somehow, very strangely, his mother was very ill also, and dying. And we both started sort of gearing towards a play that was about mortality, about death, about people who were terminally ill. And it was, I think, because we were both in that place at that point. Many times I've chosen plays that I don't understand at that point why they're appealing to me. Of course, there are many that you just love the script, and they're such wonderful stories that you just want to tell them. But sometimes I felt you also get attracted because of your own personal experiences and how you relate to a script. So coming then to the script, let's talk now about the very first sort of block that we have to set, to build this house of direction. And that would be the script and the material. To me, that is the cornerstone of your work. I know there are lots and lots of improvised work. I know there's lots and lots of work that is non-textual. There's lots of work that is physical, very physical, and this text becomes, secondary to it. There's lots of work that is not so heavy on the text. But I think I'm still quite old-fashioned. I like a good story. I like a good script. Yes, you can interpret it in many ways. You can visualize it in many ways. After all, there is not a way to direct the play. So that somebody can take the same material, can take a play, and they can I mean they can take a script and they can do something something very physical with it. But where I'm concerned, the story and what it has to say, a very important element for me when I look at a script is simply this: what will remain when somebody sees this play and goes home? What is going to stay with them? Will it make them rethink things, relook at things, re-examine things? Will it make them provoke them, disturb them in some way, even unsettle them in some way? Will something happen? Because if nothing happens, if they've just had a good laugh, been wildly entertained, and had a whale of a time, then I feel as a director, I have wasted my time. That's absolutely a very personal sort of feeling, a personal sort of approach to doing theatre. But that is my approach, that I am not interested in doing something when, as Peter Brooks said, when this whole this whole thing happens, this play or this performance happens, uh, what remains at the end? It's like, let's say, it's like a wonderful fire. What remains are the ashes, okay, of this wonderful performance. And it's the ashes that are the most important thing, because that is what stays with you, and that is why you have worked for so many months to create this piece. If nothing remains and it's like candy floss, then frankly for me, I might as well not have bothered to do it. So from that you can see I'm not in the business of making money, or I haven't joined theatre or got into direction or acting on stage for the money. The money has to come, otherwise we can't continue, we can't keep doing theatre. And it's a very important part which we should claim and be proud of. I don't know why we also in the theatre feel so embarrassed to say that we need to make a decent amount of money. Otherwise, how else would we continue? So for me, the script is God. I think all that's important when you have a script, whether it's about Gandhi, whether it's about sexual abuse, whether it's about homosexuality, whether it's about gender, whether it's about being an artist, whatever the subject may be. I think your job as a director is to make sure that you keep those people glued to their seats, because you're so passionate about the story that you want to tell that it's not important what it's about. And to find in those stories the human element, that is what people relate to. They hook into that. So you have to find a piece of work that can talk about anything under the sun. It can talk about astrophysics. It's not important. What the audience is going to hook into is the human element. How well are you telling the human part of this story? Where are those characters that they can connect with? And then through those characters, you are telling the story that you want to tell, the themes that you want to explore. So there is no cop out here. You can't say, oh, audiences, they don't like these sort of plays. The most exciting plays that I've done are plays with difficult themes. And yet people, I think when they talk about the plays that they love of ours, that are our most popular plays, strangely, they're plays with strong themes. They're not plays with candy floss in them. So I always feel that directors take this path of saying that, we want to do this sort of play or that sort of play or that sort of script or this sort of theme, because, that's what audiences want. No, we're not here to pander to them. We are here to give them what we think. Directors have an enormous opportunity to do something meaningful. And they also have a big responsibility to engage those people in the kind of subjects that they are interested in. So in short, I would say a director cannot cop out and say this subject an audience is not going to enjoy. I mean, if I have liked something, then it's my job to make sure that I put it up and I present it in such an exciting, engaging way that an audience is completely involved. To me, the essence of theater is the shared experience. And very much, anyone who's died in the wool theater person will tell you that the spectator is as much a part of a play as 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 is the director, as is the technician, as is the actor. It is that synergy between all of us together that creates the play, not us in isolation. So it's a very, very exciting process. I think one of the most exciting things for me as a director starts right there, is when I get that material. It's such a thrilling moment, adrenaline rush. You know, there are two very thrilling moments for a director. I think the one first is when you get that script, and you fall in love with the script, and you start seeing it. You know, I have dreams about scripts. When I start dreaming about a script and the opening scene and how that scene would be and all that, then I know I'm in love with this script. So I want to really do this script for whatever reason, and I don't care if anybody else finds it interesting or not. And the second one is, of course, when the curtain opens and there is first show. To shape that script, to take out what's extraneous, keep what works, get people to read it, see are those scenes working or not, is a very exciting part of being a director. So that's why I would urge you to look at new writing, because it will also make it part of your process, and you'll be able to shape a script, and you'll actually be able to see um, how it can work for you on the boards rather than just on the page. You have to choose a script from a very pure place, you know. And as the Gita says, you do your job, your duty, which is to create that piece, and what happens to it when it goes out into the world is not your it's not your worry. So that is how I have always worked. I have completely and totally believed in a script and gone with it. Now, moving from the script to the casting of the script. My actors tell me I have very good intuition about casting, because very often I cast very intuitively. I don't have to do many readings, uh, especially now and after you've done certain amount of plays and you've directed a certain number of plays. You will find yourself that you have a certain kind of a gut feeling about who might work in a play. And so I have also, of course, nice pool of actors, and luckily I'm in Bombay, so I have access to some wonderful actors. The problem only over here is that in Bombay, if anyone's very good, it's very difficult to get him or her, because she's busy with lots of other work. You know, in Bombay, people are working actors. They have to keep their kitchen fires burning on what they earn. So they don't always, even though they may have a lot of love for theatre, they may not always have the time for it. So that's a bit of a tricky problem for us in Bombay. But otherwise, yes, I do auditions. I do some open auditions. I call, and sometimes I call people who I think will suit the role also. And yes, physicality is important, not as much as it's in cinema, where I think more than 60-70% is physicality, if you sort of suit the part, or at least 50%, because cinema is so visual. Luckily, mercifully, in theatre, we're not constrained by all that. We can happily I can happily go on stage and pretend to be 10 years old, sitting on a balloon, and say I'm sitting on the moon, and your suspension of disbelief will be entire, and you will believe it. So we're very free from all these sort of visual constraints that occur in the visual medium, like the electronic medium. So when I am auditioning someone, you know, I am not really looking for a great performance or for a great characterization, or you know, some great accent or anything like that. In fact, I like a clean read when I'm doing an audition. But what I am looking for is intelligence and understanding of the script. And if he reads well, with understanding, with intelligence, and he looks the part, then definitely I would call him for a second read, give him some notes, or her, and give some notes and get a second read done. And also, I must share another thing. After so many years of doing theatre, you know, I have come to the conclusion that theatre is a very, uh, it's a very, what shall I say, ensemble work is a very important part of theatre, and teamwork is a very important part of theatre. So I have started in the last many years. If an actor is supremely talented and there is another one who maybe a couple of degrees less talented, but is a team player, has a wonderful energy, I know will be wonderful to have as a cast member, then I will even sacrifice that slight extra talent from a person who may have that extra talent but will be a difficult actor to work with, will might be a difficult actor to take direction, who has much more ego. I'm a person who finds ego very bothersome. I can't deal with too much ego. That's my problem. So I would rather then go for someone. So I am also looking for actors who are not just talented, but who are very willing to work hard, because hard work is the middle name of theatre. Actually, hard work is the middle name of aspiring for any kind of excellence. So hard work, enthusiasm, passion, these are the things they have to bring to the table, or rather to the stage. And this is what I'm looking for. And of course, a great degree of talent. And I've realized that there are roles, we say give newcomers a chance, and yes, of course I want to give newcomers a chance, but there is something to be said for training, and there is something to be said for experience. So I do often give chances to young new people, but I try to, those are more for roles that are not so unless they're brilliant and they really, I had Radhika Apte, a play of mine, before she started doing films, and she had done a couple of plays, but even she had done 2 or 3 plays, but she was just magnificent in that role. So even though she was a fairly new actress, I'm talking about lead roles, I'm just talking about very big important lead roles, I did give her, she kept asking for auditions, and she did the auditions very well. She did 2 or 3 auditions and she was excellent. So yes, I do qualify that. I'm not saying that, but some amount of experience is important. I'm sharing this because I have worked with people who have no training, no experience, who just love theatre and want to act. And it's a very, very difficult task for the director. It really is. I mean, to put it bluntly, you spend double or triple the amount of time then training that actor to bring him up to speed. So I tend to now, keep those roles for the sort of supporting roles for actors who really have not had much experience. So that's where the casting is concerned. Coming to direction itself, this is where I was talking about Barry John, and he had a certain way uh, with which a certain way in which he directed us, where I think I have been much influenced by that. And to begin with, I cannot follow this very autocratic way of direction. For me, that doesn't work. To me, the whole idea of directing a play is I know exactly what I want in my head, how I see this play. Okay. Having said that, in terms of costume, in terms of sound, in terms of sound effects, in terms of track, in terms of music, in terms of whether it's live, whether it's recorded, whatever it is, I have seen it in my head. The lighting, the palette, a director has to. That is part of his job. That's the exciting part of his job. He actually sees the whole play. So I do see all that. As a director, another important element is your team playing. You have a whole team that also works with you. The set designer, the music director, the costume designer, the person who does properties and art, the lighting director. So there are many people, the choreographer, and many other people you might also be using to create the piece. So there are all these elements that also work together to create the piece, and it's very important that to find that balance, because the vision is yours, it's not theirs. At the same time, they are highly talented and individual creative people who have also their own vision. So how do those two come together such that there is the best that can come out of it, if you know what I mean? Meaning they are contributing their version, their understanding of how, say, a scene should be lit, or the palette of color palette of the lighting should be, or the costume designer is giving their input. So here there is again lack of ego, which is very, very important. And there is this thing of, I want it this way. So a director has to be very clear what they want, but then there has to be space, like I give space to the actors. This is what I want. Give me this in your own way. I don't necessarily want you to either be like me or X or Y or Z. You have to do it in your own way, but give me this. This is what I need in this scene. And the beauty of it is that he will obviously, or she will obviously do it in a way that no one else will do it. So in the same way, to allow that creative freedom to your designers, to your collaborators, to people who are your technicians, to give you their best while working in synergy with what your vision is. And that's a tricky area where you have to suppress your ego a little and allow them creative freedom to also enrichen the product to its best. So talking about this, I just want to give one example that, how important we don't, very often because of lack of funds, very often I've had the most wonderful ideas for a set design, or for a lighting design, or even for costumes, but I know I have to cut my coat according to the cloth, according to the money that I have. So I try to do the best I can. And this is another lesson you have to learn as a director, that how imaginative, how innovative can you be with maybe not as much money, not as much, as many funds as you would like. And that's another lesson you learn, that you have to keep working with what you have. And yet I have seen some wonderful productions where people have really driven the play largely on imagination and nothing else. They've just been so innovative, so imaginative. So money is again a cop out, that, oh, we don't have enough money, so that's why that play looks better and this play doesn't look better and all that. But that's not true, because I think if you have a terrific script and you have a great deal of imagination and some fantastic actors, that's it. I mean, Peter Brooks, who I'm quoting again because I was a big admirer of his, I am a big admirer of his, he used to say that what is it distilled to its core after he had done it all. He had done Broadway, done the National Theatre. He was one of those young geniuses, who was directing on the biggest stages of England when he was in his 20s. And then he pared down, pared down, pared down. And by the end of his life, everything had become so simple. And he used to say, what is it really? It is really one light, one actor, and one audience member watching, or a whole lot of audience members watching. Let's say the audience as a unit, one, the actor as a unit, two, and the light. And that's all you need to do theatre. The rest is all packaging. If you have a good story to tell and you say it well, and you have light to illuminate you, and you have an audience who hear you, that's all it is. It really is that. The rest of it is all packaging. We can make it look richer, more beautiful. But that's why I say the way I judge a play is, if I strip it down to its bare minimum, there is just the story and the person who's telling that story, or two people telling, or five people telling that story. And were there to be nothing else, absolutely nothing else, just enough light to light them, would that grip me and engage me enough or not? And that should really be your dipstick. Does it do that? Does your script, does your story, does the play that you want to do, and the story you want to tell, does it do that? If it does that, stripped of everything, you're good. That's what your job as a director is, I think, ultimately, to be able to sense that. And we talk about lighting, designing, and all that. We sometimes don't realize how much they can really contribute to the telling of your story. I remember a play called An Inspector Calls. It's a very old play. It was written in the 50s, and it's been done to death everywhere. And I remember one year in England, it won like every single award, the Tonys, the very famous Tonys, the biggest awards for theatre. And I think it just walked away with most of the awards. And I was very keen to see the play. So when I was in England next, in London, I went to see it. And I was enthralled. I was totally enthralled. Because for the first time, I saw how a set design was actually telling the story of the whole play. In a nutshell, the play is about a very rich family, industrial family, which has a factory. And incidentally, I acted in a Hindi version of it with Mammootty. Um, it was a sort of an independent film, and it turned out to be quite good. It's called So Jhoot Ek Sach. If you ever get a chance, you can see it. I think it must be floating somewhere in the universe of the internet. And this, so in this play, there is this industrial family, very rich, and they live in this world which is completely sort of separate and away from the masses, from the factory that they own, etc., etc. And one day, an inspector calls to tell them that this young girl who worked in a factory, in their factory, has hung herself. And this whole can of worms opens, the relationship of all these people in the family with this young girl. Was there a relationship? Was there no relationship? What sort of relationship? Anyway, what was important was that the set was this wonderful house. When the play began, there was this one little window, just one window that opened, and you got a glimpse of this world that these rich people inhabited, you know, tinkling of glasses, laughter, music, etc., etc., etc. Very removed from reality, very removed from the rest of the world. And as the when the inspector calls, you know, they have to let down a sort of a ladder to let the inspector just come up a little bit, you know, a few steps up, because they don't want him invading their world. And he comes and he tells them what he does. And through the rest of the play, this beautiful, gorgeous set, because the family starts falling apart with what has happened, you know. I mean, all kinds of things come out of the cupboard, and, you know, the young son had a relationship with this girl in the factory, and she was pregnant, etc., etc., etc. Lots of drama, but all kinds of things start happening, and things start exploding. And this set, which was so spectacular, slowly through the play, very imperceptibly kept sort of, you know, getting askew, looking not quite okay. And by the first act, it had collapsed completely. And when the second act began, it began slowly to take a different form and come together again. And it came together in a very skewed way, very unlike the way it looked in the first act. And it had a different shape, different form. People inhabited different parts of it. And in the end, of course, it was a different structure completely. This was only one part of the set. There was another part of the set which was far away, you know, where the girl was supposed to be and all that. And there was a sense of distance and alienation and, you know, all that. But it was a set that actually told you the story of what was happening to the people in the play. One of the methods that I use when I'm getting actors to crack a script or break into a script, aside from improvs, of course, are one of the most important tools that we have as directors. I'm a great fan of improvisation. Most unexpected things come out, way out of the script, out of personal experiences, things that really bring a lot of richness to the play, not just to that character's performance, that actor's performance. So it's something that should be used a lot, I feel, a lot more than it is used when people are directing a play. I have always found it something that gives me unexpected insight into a text. So that's one thing. But one of the things I love doing is I love actors, especially if they're sort of qualified and trained actors, to swap roles constantly, you know, to play somebody else's part. And I'm watching as a co-actor, and I watch someone else do my part, read my part, or play a scene for me. And this swapping, this exchange, I find very useful as an actor also, and as a director also, because even as a director, I can sometimes pick up things that that actor has brought to that part. So I find that a small tool that I thought I would share with you. And I think one very important thing is lines. Second important thing is, I mean, actors really knowing their lines. I know some people are very easy about this. They don't care. People ad lib and add lines and make up their own lines and all that sort of thing. But I think knowing your lines thoroughly, totally, completely, and then forgetting about them and performing is what the really the heart of an actor should be. He should know his lines so well. Because when I'm directing, if I'm struggling with actors who constantly looking for their line or making up their lines or creating their own sort of uh, understanding of the text, it's extremely annoying. So I am very strict about that. I feel that a director should be very strict about that. There are few things you should be strict about. You should be strict about timing. You should be strict about rehearsals. You should be strict about knowing your lines. And you should be very strict about a very important thing, which is ego, kind of tone that director sets during rehearsal, how he allows that space to be is very, very important. So to me, this is a very important part of being a director. And finally, the director has to take responsibility, you know. So whatever you have created, you have to take responsibility for it. And one of the risky parts of that is that you may have one day be stuck with a situation where an actor hasn't turned up for whatever reason. And that is both the thrill and the sort of frightening aspect of live performances, because what do you do if an actor doesn't turn up? We had that happen to us once. We had a run of 10 shows, and the last show of that play was completely houseful. Extra tickets had been sold, and you know, all kinds of things, and people were milling around in the lobby for 1 hour before the play. And the main lead, who sang some 8 songs and did some 6 dances, just didn't land up. And when people tried it, this was the era before mobiles, and we had to send someone to her house to find out what had happened. And to cut a long story short, they just said she's not feeling well and she's not coming. And we had exactly 30 minutes to the play and a full house outside. And everyone got after me as a director that I should jump in. And the girl's part was at least 20 years younger than me. And there were many songs she sang and sort of pages and pages of dialogue. And I said, you know, even though I have experience, this is way, way beyond me. You know, but the actors were all getting very hysterical and asking me to jump in. So finally, of course, we had to cancel the show. So there is all this risky business. And I'd say risky business because it is also a very risky business being a producer and a director in theatre. It really is. You have to be fueled by such a crazy, crazy love for it. But when you are fueled by that, you know, actually nothing else matters. I've never really thought in my life that I could have made so much more money if I had done, you know, if I'd been in, I was trained in the media. I have a master's in English literature and a master's in mass comm. And I did rather well in both courses. So I could easily have been in media. I got many offers for a job in magazines and ad agencies. And I know I could have made a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot more money than I made being in the theater. But I think the joy and the satisfaction, it all sounds cliched. I know even I say it that way, but the truth is that. But how fulfilling creatively and otherwise my life has been because I dedicated it to theatre. I have no regrets, and I feel okay. You know, there is no end to material things that you can aspire to. There is no end. A better phone, a better house, a better car. But so what? At the end of the day, like Mr. Peter Brooks's ashes, what remains is the work that you did. What did you do? Was it of any meaning, any quality, any worth? Uh, and one doesn't know whether one did that or not. But I certainly know that I had a heck of a lot of fun, a lot of creative joy, and I have enjoyed every day that I have worked in the work that I do. So to be able to say that I wake up every morning, and I'm excited, and I'm thrilled to be doing what I do, is your satisfaction, is the kind of joy that has no price. And I personally would urge everyone who wants to do theatre that do it with all your heart. Don't expect to make a lot of money out of it, but what you get out of it, I can assure you, is something quite marvelous. Right now, with the lockdown and the world we're living in, there is so much stuff online. I know it's a glut, but Meta is showing some of the most wonderful uh, pieces that they have awarded, and which have been, remarkable in different ways. So you have an opportunity to see that, but you have an opportunity to see so much else. The National Theatre, the Bolshoi, the Old Vic, the Metropolitan Opera. I mean, we've never had it so good that we have access to so much wonderful stuff online. So just go out there and just see everything you can, because it will open many, many windows in your mind and fire your imagination. And I wish you all the best. This is a wonderful business to be in. There's nothing like theatre, I can assure you. It gives me a thrill. I have done some of the biggest Hollywood films and come back to a place like Prithvi, which is one of my favorite haunts. This theatre set up by Prithvi Raj Kapoor, where it's everything speaks of theatre in it. And I went and I literally started smelling the seats, and people were laughing at me and saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm back in the theatre." It's such a special and magical feeling for me that I can't even explain it. So all I can tell you is that if you've been bitten by that bug, then you are very, very lucky. All the best.
Thank you, Lillete, for this enlightening session. It's always a delight to see you bring the stage alive and share your experiences and ocean of talent. Once again, we would like to thank the Mahindras for their unstinted support for the arts. And thank you all for being such great participants. And a big thanks to Bikaji, our snacking partner for Meta 2021. If you like this masterclass, do spread the word and register on Art Gyan to explore more such courses. Currently, the platform features courses by expert artists and gurus across 7 streams: art, music, dance, theatre, wellness, food and literature, with a variety of sub-streams under each, from Hindustani vocals to folk instruments and from baking to dance therapy. The aim is to offer exclusive courses that empower the audience and artists equally. All these masterclasses will be available to view later on our Meta Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. Thank you once again and see you soon.